Hi, this is Laura Pepperwee with 30 Day Books, and today we have author Lauren Clark, award-winning author Lauren Clark, who wrote the book Stay Tuned, and today is the release of her new book, Dancing Naked in Dixie. Hi, Lauren,
Hey, it's great to be here.
and where are you today?
I am in Mobile, Alabama, at a friend's house on the river. So we are going to relax and celebrate release day after we get done with this.
Sounds perfect. Okay, so this is the first in our new series, Indie Authors Doing It Right. And Lauren, I've asked you to come on the show today because you are absolutely doing everything right as an indie author.
That's great. Thank you. I have help. I have help from my publicist, Laura.
Well, she sounds great.
Yes, she's fab.
So, Lauren Clark is an ex-TV anchor and journalist, and she's been featured on big sites such as Chicklit Is Not Dead and Ladies' Home Journal. Your debut novel, Stay Tuned, won 5 or 6 awards, I believe.
It did. It did. I've been very fortunate and been so pleased. The Eric Hoffer Award was really, I was thrilled
Good.
when it got a nod from that organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so do you want to give us a quick 30-second blurb for your new book, which is out today?
Yeah, Dancing Naked in Dixie is the story of Julia Sullivan, and she's a 32-year-old travel writer from New York City. She's been all over the world, and the story starts when she comes into work, and she has a new boss at Getaways magazine, and she's running late, and everything's going wrong, and she has to meet with her new boss, and it's somebody that she really doesn't like, and he's not very pleased with her work either because she has ADHD. She's very scattered. She's very well-meaning and talented, but they're not very happy with her at this particular point in time, and so they decide that they are going to pull her off this prime assignment and send her to small-town Alabama to preview the Eufaula pilgrimage. And her reaction, she's not very happy to
Okay.
be sent to the Deep South. Not a
So this is perhaps somewhat based on your own experience.
It definitely is. I grew up in upstate New York, and about 10 years ago moved. I was a TV news anchor on the weekends in Watertown, New York, which is a really tiny place near Lake Ontario, and moved to Dothan, Alabama, where I worked at another CBS affiliate. But it was a little bit of culture shock. It was in July, so it was about 100 degrees every day, even at 11 o'clock at night. The humidity was so intense. I wasn't used to it at all.
Right, right.
And the people down here have different phrases for things. They have different food. It was just a completely new experience for me and for my family, and it's been really wonderful. But I wanted to take some of those funny things that you might misinterpret when you're in a new place or when you're talking to somebody and put it into Julia's story and have it be humorous and fun and a little bit of action with everything that goes along with this personal journey while she's on this physical journey from New York to Eufaula as well.
Yeah, and I've had the chance to read it, and it is really funny. It's a fantastic setting, and I think the sort of big fish in a small pond aspect works really, really well. So yeah, okay. So the reason that I'm showcasing you as an indie author doing it right, well, there's several reasons. First off, you are meticulously organized. It's quite amazing. I've seen the Google spreadsheets and the documents that you write, and I think it's fantastic that you do that for the long term, because you are in this for the long term. You have several books planned, and what this means is that you have all of the information so that for the next book you can contact the same people, you can do the same timeline, you have your strategy written down and in place so that you don't have to start from square one, for every book. So that's one of the reasons.
And I will have to give you credit for recommending the Google documents and the spreadsheets because I am so much more organized now, and that has really, really helped focus me and keep all of my contacts in one place. So.
Yeah, and just for people watching, Google Docs. Well, Google has several tools that you can utilize, but Google Docs is certainly a great way to share documents with people. And as you say, if you have a Gmail account, it's a great way to stay on top of everything. Yeah. The other thing that you're really, really good at is networking. So I've seen you comment on blogs everywhere. You seem to be everywhere. You're not afraid to email people or to get in touch. And I think probably your background in journalism helps you a lot. So what advice do you give people who aren't used to that kind of online networking?
I would start small. I would look around at different sites that really appeal to you and speak to you. Chicklet is Not Dead is so funny. Liz and Lisa are great. They've been really supportive of me. They don't know me from anything. I mean, I connected with Lisa because she used to be a TV news producer, and so she was kind enough to read Stay Tuned. But I think what I do is I look for some kind of a personal connection, something that we might have in common, like we all like Chicklet, or we drink coffee, or someone grew up in upstate New York, or they'd like to go to Greece, which would be my ideal place to visit. And so it's really about starting a conversation and making connections and being thoughtful when you make a comment on somebody's blog. And I have just met so many amazing people, and I'm so grateful for those relationships and the people that really took on Stay Tuned, decided to read it. I sent thank you notes. I've kept in touch with them. I've tried to support their blogs as well, and tweet for them or put something on Facebook. If there's another author, Kimberly Kincaid this morning announced that one of her books had won an award, and I'm just so thrilled for her because she's a really great person. And so I feel like I have this tight network of other authors that we all kind of share ideas and what's going on in our lives, and it's so great. But I started really small, just with a few blogs, and then I have my favorites that I subscribe to, and I get those notices on my email. And I don't comment on every single thing, but I do, try to maintain communication with my favorites.
Yeah. So how do you stay on top of it? You said you subscribe to the blogs and then you get notifications. Do you spend half an hour in the morning sort of staying on top of that, or do you have a strategy?
I do. I'm definitely a morning person, and I get most everything done between, I'd say, 6 a.m. and noon. And you really can get sucked into doing a lot on the internet, and you can spend hours and hours and hours. But I do try to maybe take 30 minutes and just check, okay, did Trees and Ink post something today? Did 30 Day Books post something today? Did Chicklet Is Not Dead post something today? And I just kind of scroll through and Reviewing Shelf posted something today, and she always has great stuff. So I just look and I find new books to read, new authors to explore. Novel Girl, Rebecca Berto, always has great posts, and she reviews books, but she also has great advice about being an author and getting agents, or what not to do when you're trying to get an agent.
Right.
So yeah, I pick and choose and say, ooh, I like that topic, or oh, that looks interesting, and I'll just either like a post or just a short comment, and that's just my way of keeping in contact with everybody and paying it forward and supporting other authors and bloggers.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that I think the indie author community does really well, is supporting each other. There's a lot of reciprocation going on. And like you say, it's paying it forward, and then you tend to find that these things come back to you somehow, and those people get to know you, and then they support your work, and it really is a great community.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, so the other thing which I think you're doing really, really well is your branding. So everything you do is incredibly professional. It's very obvious to anyone who picks up one of your paperbacks that you've had the interior design edited. Really, you've had the interior design designed incredibly well. It's been edited. The book covers are fantastic. You really are sort of, I don't know, reaching for the high standards that the traditional publishers put out there. So do you want to talk a little bit about what the Lauren Clark brand is and how you got there? How did you work it out?
Well, I think when I started out with Stay Tuned, I was still trying to figure out, who I was as an author, what I wanted to focus on, and I was still narrowing my focus there. And I did some blog tours, and I looked at who really liked the book, who were those people, who were the ones that posted reviews on Amazon, and I went on their blogs and I emailed them and chatted with them and looked at what kind of books they reviewed. And so when Dixie came out and we talked and brainstormed, I think that we decided that we wanted this sassy Southern fiction with us.
Right, which is your tagline, by the way.
It is.
Sassy Southern fiction. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and just smart women, smart female protagonists who can solve their own problems, who aren't perfect, but just real women,
Right.
Not necessarily, the most beautiful or, the most wealthy, but somebody who's a career girl who has a lot of things going on in her life, who's slammed maybe with an obstacle or a big challenge in her life and then has to overcome them. But in terms of image, I wanted to portray covers that were eye-catching, that were fun, that also complemented each other. And I wish I had my new book. It's on the way, but you can see this is the Stay Tuned cover, and it's clean, it's easy to read, it's not too cluttered. And then this one is Dancing Naked in Dixie, and I tried to maintain the same kind of type with my name, and just clean lines and eye-catching, complementary colors, so that when people see the cover, they'll say, "Oh, that's a Lauren Clark book," kind of like Emily Giffen does.
Right,
She has these soft colors that her book jackets are in, and just a little symbol or image in the middle, and then her name is in lowercase letters. And so I can walk into a bookstore and I say, "Oh, that's Emily Giffen's book," and that's what I'm striving for. That's what I really want to do when we're further developing the brand, and when we come out with another book. Then I would want to stick with here's my let's see, my bookmarks. So it's that block of color on the bottom, and then we just have a few images, the suitcase and the high heels, and the script writing is the same. And then I also had little note cards made up so that I can send people thank you notes and postcards. And so hopefully when people log on to Facebook, they're going to see the book cover on there. On Twitter, I have a bunch of my bookmarks lined up so that hopefully when people see that, they'll say, "Okay, it's a Lauren Clark book."
Right. So you're striving for consistency in everything you do, and this is another reason why you're so professional. Like, you do have the note cards made up, and you will send out handwritten notes and that sort of thing. But I think the important thing to note is that your book covers, they don't look exactly the same. They do reflect the story, and the stories are very different. But there are certain elements that carry through for each one, and I think that's where you've got it right, because the book covers do reflect the story, but not in a they're not too similar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually had two different cover artists working, and my second cover artist was really great. The first woman that I worked with, who's very, very talented, could not, for personal reasons, work on the second cover. So I was fortunate enough, through another blogger friend that I knew, referred me to Damon, and he did a fabulous job. I said, here is Stay Tuned. I need something to look like Stay Tuned, right, to complement the color. I'd like the block on the bottom with my name, same font, and he did a fabulous job. I told him a little bit about the story. So it's really connecting with people who get you, who get your concept, who understand where you want to go with your brand, and who can really take that and put it into pictures and words that work with the story.
Right, right. And you've done a great job. So behind every great book is a great author. And how do you use yourself as part of your brand? You obviously have a background in journalism and reporting, and those are elements that come into your story. Did you ever feel uncomfortable being so prominent to your readers or putting yourself out there?
Not really.
No?
I'm such a, I mean, I know my mailman's name. I know the UPS man's name. I know everybody at the coffee shop. I am my father's daughter. I have never met a stranger, and I just love being around people. So I talk to everybody. I'm not a shameless self-promoter, though, in public or anything. I don't run up to people and say, "Can you please buy my book?"
Right,
and
right,
make
right.
and hats, and a few of my girlfriends have actually, organized some events and assignments and things like that, because that's just not me. I'm not a salesperson. I'd rather connect with people, have them discover the book, and then like it enough to buy Dancing Naked and Dixie, instead of me pushing it on them. I'd rather say, oh, that concept appeals to me. I'll try it, and hopefully they'll like it, and then they'll come to expect that it's sassy Southern fiction, and they want more of it. So.
Yeah, great. Okay, so a lot of indie authors that are starting out right now are feeling a bit overwhelmed, and perhaps wondering how to get from where they're at now to where you are, an award-winning author who's been featured on some great sites. You just have to Google your name to see that you are everywhere on the space. Yep. You've sold a ton of books, and you are making this your career. This is your long-term career. What advice would you give those people, or what advice do you wish you would have known in the beginning?
Oh gosh, I wish I would have started 10 years earlier. But I did. I had my career in TV, and I wouldn't have traded that for anything.
Yeah.
I've always thought about being an author. I love books. I inhale books. I love all kinds of books, and I've always been an avid reader. I'm a library geek. I always have my Kindle with me, and I'm always reading something new. And writing is hard. It really, I thought, I can write a book. And my first book that I really sat down and said, I am going to finish this book, it was awful. I mean, it's just awful. And this is my experience. This is what worked for me. But I hired a freelance editor to take that manuscript and take it apart and then help me put it back together and revise it. And it was still pretty terrible when we got done. But it taught me to finish a project, see it through from start to finish, even if it's awful. And it is not totally awful, but it's not something that I want to publish. But from there, I started building that foundation, wrote my second book, did more plotting, planned it out, thought about the characters more. And then my third book was Stay Tuned, and so it took a while to write it. I'm somebody who does the crappy first draft and then goes back and really spends a lot of time revising. I think it's really crucial to have an editor, somebody who can really give you honest feedback about your work. And it can't be your mom or your best friend, although my mom reads everything, and so does my best friend, who is an excellent editor, and proofreader. But it has to be somebody that really isn't personally invested in it, somebody that you hire, or somebody that you trust, maybe a professor at a university, who can sit down with you and say, these are some problem areas that you have to work through. This character isn't developed enough. And I think as an author, it's really important to spend that time writing, that butt in a chair. Nothing takes the place of just writing and writing and writing. And I think with every book, there's something to be improved on. There's something to learn. I take online courses. I go to conferences. I talk with other writers. I learn something, I think, every week from somebody, some little snippet of information. I just soak it up like a sponge and think, oh, well, of course, why didn't I know that?
Yeah.
But I think, that's what, like you said, what's great with the indie community is I've met you, I've met Damon, my cover designer. I use Duolit for my formatting, and those girls taught me about formatting and how things should look, and just I feel incredibly blessed with so many talented people who've supported my work.
Right.
But I think, it's your job as an author to just strive to make your writing better and take it a step further and continue developing your work. I think there's always room for improvement.
Right. So it sounds like your biggest pieces of advice would be to start with a quality product. So don't rush it. Just because you have a manuscript doesn't mean it's the right manuscript to publish. You need to make sure that it's your best work. And then the second thing, which you're saying, is that just keep learning. And I think that's really important for indie authors to realize, that you do need to, at this stage, you do need to learn about formatting and about what makes a good cover design and what good marketing is. You can't just write the book and then expect other people to take it on. It's a full-time job now. You do have to wear lots of different hats and to learn lots of new things. So that's really great advice.
Definitely, and I really would recommend to have somebody who, is not a family member or a close friend, look at that book, have somebody edit, have somebody proofread. You really have to put your best foot forward. You're representing, yourself. It's your writing, and it really needs to be the best that it can be.
Yeah, great. So, what is your long-term strategy? What's next after this? What's your?
Oh gosh, I have a list of books that I need 48 hours in a day to write. I think I have an ongoing list of topics that I think would be interesting, and situations or places that I'd like to explore. And last year, my husband and I were traveling in upstate Alabama, and we came across this restaurant called the Pie Lab, and it's this little funky hole-in-the-wall place where they make pies, and they make dessert pies and lunch pies, and they're really involved in community outreach, and they do job training for people who are just out of high school. They teach other skills, and it's just a great concept. So I thought, oh, this is going to be my next book. This is, because who doesn't like pie? Really.
You are reaching the readers through their stomach.
There's a lot that can be solved by having a good piece of pie.
In England, we say you can solve it through a cup of tea, but apparently in Alabama, it's through a pie.
You need a cup of tea and the pie. But again, a strong female protagonist. And this time I want to make it about someone who has vowed never to come back to their small town home, and who's burned a lot of bridges and has gone off to the big city, and I haven't decided which big city yet, but has some relationship problems and then has to come back and kind of find her place again and get centered. And it's a very humbling experience for her to mend those fences and figure out how it can be done, and whether people will forgive her or not. So that's what I'm working on next.
Oh, wonderful. So once you've recovered from all the release day work, it is a lot of work. You're on, how many guest posts do you estimate you've written for this week?
Oh my goodness. I bet I am getting close to 35 probably so far, and I think we're looking at maybe 20 reviews and guest posts and just promotions just today. And then we'll be continuing to blog tour for the next 6 weeks. So lots of fun.
So
and
you could have written another book. All those that
work at least the crappy first draft. Yeah. So, but this is really fun too, and I've met some really fabulous new people and gotten some ideas along the way. And so I love connecting with readers, and I have my readers from Stay Tuned who are happy that this one's coming out, and it's just so much fun to talk with them and what's going on in your life, and just updating me on somebody's engaged or somebody's having a baby, and so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're definitely a very accessible author, which I think is important as an indie author, to get out there and to talk to your readers and to to answer questions and to ask questions and to show that you care about them and that you're really thankful every time they leave a review for you and you're not taking it for granted.
So much. It really does. It is the highest compliment that anybody can do, to really write that review and put it on Amazon and put it on Goodreads. It means so much to me and to my author friends, and it's just great. And I don't know, it's the best feeling in the world to have somebody say something nice about your book. Or I even enjoy the critiques that say, well, I'd really like it if she would have included more about this character, or about this, because that just keeps the wheels turning and the juice flowing, and like, okay, good idea, So I don't expect that all the reviews are going to be glowing, and sometimes I had a few people that really didn't like Stay Tuned, and we talked about it, and you just go on, you read the review, and you move on, and not everybody's going to like it, unfortunately. My will, but yeah, it's as an indie author, and even as a traditionally published author, not everybody's going to like your book, and you have to develop, the confidence that you've put a lot of time and effort into your work. You believe in it, you love it, and you go after that core audience, that audience that loves the sassy Southern fiction, and you work to please that core group.
Right.
And I think that's part of your success, of a person's success, is really, if you find something, a type of book that really turns people on, or makes them think, or makes them cry or laugh, then I think you've done something right, and hopefully, I'll be able to do that in the future as well.
Yeah. Well, congratulations once again. Dancing Naked in Dixie is a fantastic read. I really enjoyed it. It's super funny, and I really feel like you found your voice with this one. You wrote the kind of book that you would like to read, and yeah.
And Eufaula is a great place. It's a real place, and I used to live near there, and it's just a special place in my heart. And Yeah, it's a great setting for this story, and really there's something magical about it.
Great. Well, I will leave links to your new book below the video, and thanks so much for all the advice and tips you've given us today, and
Thanks,
best
Laura.
of luck.
Okay,
All
talk
right.
soon.
Take care. Bye bye.